Good morning and welcome to Monday Manna. I'm your host, Frank Adams. So glad you're able to be with us today. I want to talk with you today on the topic of the business of people. Leaders are in the business of people. One instructor on leadership made the observation, you're not going to be a success unless a lot of people want you to. So leadership is about people and about gathering them together so that the enterprise can be successful. Leaders are in the business of people. Jesus is a people person. He loves people. He engages people. He serves people. Jesus would elevate people because he valued people. Jesus was patient with people. He was compassionate and forgiving to people. When the occasion called for it, he could also rebuke or chasten people. Jesus has set the example for leaders and their relationship with people. He said to the lives of his apostles, I'm among you as him who serves. I came not to be served, but to serve and to give my life. Paul affirmed that he would not only live for his constituents, but he was willing to die in service to them. Leaders are a bit like parents. They live and sacrifice for the well-being of the children rather than vice versa. Leadership places people in a high priority. If leaders are not cautious, they can drift into using people rather than serving people. There is actually one primary reason that people follow a leader. It is because the leader is meeting their needs, solving their problems. There are basically four things that people look for and desire in a leader. First of all, they're looking for encouragement. Encouragement involves giving hope for the future. Tell me about a better day. Secondly, people want their leaders to show appreciation, to be grateful and thankful for whatever contribution they're making. Number three, people want leaders that will affirm them, give them affirmation. My wife uses the phrase that everybody needs a little attaboy. They need the affirmation. They need to hear it. The fourth thing that people look for in their leaders is recognition. That the leader values them, values their contribution, values them as an individual and as a person. Mary Kay Ash of, I believe, Mary Kay Cosmetics encouraged her people to see everyone with a sign over their heads that said, "Make me feel important." This type of an attitude is not manipulation, but it is motivation. Manipulation is when I do things in order to personally benefit, rather than motivation is I do what will be a blessing and a benefit to others. You can count on this one thing, believers can figure out the difference rather quickly. Leadership is about working with people and about developing people. People come to us in various forms and of maturity, and it is our responsibility to develop them, help them to discover their giftedness, and employ that in the service of the Lord. I'll share with you 7 attitudes of good leaders. Number 1, leaders esteem people. People are either adversaries or assets. When you view people as adversaries, you'll always be sparring with them. But when you see them as assets, you'll make an investment, and there certainly will be a good return on your effort. Number 2, leaders engage people. Leaders lead in proximity to people. Before you can go before the people, you must first live among the people. Number 3, leaders encourage people, giving them hope. A lack of hope dries up the bones. We, as leaders, describe and seek a better day, a better tomorrow for the people that we lead. Number 4, leaders elevate people. I love what Coach Saban of the University of Alabama football, he says that his first task in a new season is to get the right players on the bus, get them in the right seats, and then get everybody off the bus that doesn't belong on the bus. So leaders evaluate people. In other words, they're able to know who's going to be a contributor to the mission and who isn't. And then evaluate those and then make your decisions based on that evaluation. Get the right people on the bus, get them in the right seat, and get the wrong people off the bus. There's some real leadership wisdom in that statement. Number 5, leaders enlist people. Leaders will naturally attract followers, and leaders involve people. They encourage people to make contributions to the organization. So they enlist them, come, get involved, be a part. Number 6, leaders equip people. The statement, an inactive member, is an oxymoron. It's only as we develop people that we will permanently succeed. So, no inactive members. We're going to equip everyone to be active, to participate, to make a contribution. I've said before that we have to realize that church members are not passengers on a cruise ship. They are the crew. Number 7, leaders empower people. When people are empowered, the church grows, the people mature, and the ministry is fruitful. All of these things that we're speaking about in leadership, they have to be intentional. They just don't happen. Good leaders are intentional. They do what they do on purpose and with a purpose. And so all of these leadership skills, we want to be intentional. We have a purpose and we seek to develop and encourage people in those directions. You must be intentional. Leadership does not just happen by oxymoron or by some spiritual thing. It is that you intentionally influence people, you intentionally involve people, and you intentionally equip and develop people. Someone made the observation, I believe it last name was Logan, in a book I read years ago. And he said there are 4 types of people that you deal with. They're the VIPs, that's the very important people, and that's your current leaders. Then there's the VT people, that's the very trainable or teachable people. That's your future leaders. Then they're the VN people, the very nice people who basically are not going to do anything. And then, of course, we've all experienced the VD people, very draining people. So we have to begin to learn and evaluate people according to the Pareto principle. Pareto was an Italian economist who developed the 80-20 theory. He discovered that in any organization, 80% of the production of that organization was because of the contribution of 20% of the people. The other 80% of the people were able to produce 20% of the work. So we have to learn, who do we spend most of our time with? We don't neglect others, but we certainly don't want to neglect those 20%. Pastor, leader, do you know, can you identify, can you name who your 20% are? And what are you doing to encourage them and develop them and empower them and equip them? Take time and hopefully develop the other 80% of your people into becoming 20%ers. But spend most of your time with those people who are going to really produce a change. Now, we all have to be realistic that there are just sometimes that people present themselves in our organizations and in our churches that are just difficult to deal with. There used to be a TV program, a sitcom called Alfie. Now, I'm not sure what kind of animal Alfie was, whether he was a cat or a dog or some alien, but he was just a caustic sort of a individual, always criticizing, always being negative. And I thought to myself, what is going to be my reactions when I run into those Alfies? How am I going to treat an Alfie? If I'm going to be intentional, how am I going to treat my Alfies? So I did a little acrostic with the name Alfie, A-L-F-I-E, and I memorized it. And whenever I would encounter one of these Alfies, I would go through that. And I'd say, first of all, I will accept them. I will communicate my acceptance. Then the L stood for love. And I would remind myself, I need to love these people. Then the F stood for forgiveness. I choose to forgive these people. Then the I stood for, how can I inspire these people to make a change and be different? And then E and Alfie was, how can I equip and encourage them to be part of the team and a productive member of the organization? What you do intentionally. When I pastored, every Monday, I would sit down and write thank you notes to various leaders and people who had served that Sunday or people that I had recognized that needed some encouragement. And every Monday I would sit down and write those thank you notes, appreciation notes, or notes of concern. I can't tell you how much positive feedback I got from those little notes. And even better than that, most of the time I would call them and thank them personally. And as soon as I got the opportunity, I would thank them publicly. Public recognition shows appreciation. So we need to show recognition and gratitude. You always have to remember appreciation, especially to a volunteer, is compensation. That is their compensation, that they are appreciated for the work they're doing. Well, I hope these thoughts on the business of people have been a benefit to you. I just kind of jotted some things down from my memory. I hope that they'll encourage you, and I want to encourage you. If you feel like you lack in people skills, there's training, there's resources. Take advantage of those things and become a person that is in the business of people. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.